Reading for July 29th, Science of Mind.
There we are. Had some storms in the area and internet's being a little weird. So good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind in One Day. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis in 1 year. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. Today is July 29th. And so let's get started with our reading and see where it takes us.
Reading for July 29th, Science of Mind, A Philosophy of Faith, A Way of Life by Ernest Holmes. Reading from page 234, paragraph 1, through page 236, paragraph 2, using inclusive language.
Skin. The skin represents a temporary but perfect outward cloak, forever responsible to that deep inner calm, that place where life is poised in itself. There is nothing in spirit to break through or erupt, to congest or contaminate. Within it is perfect. Arms and hands. The arms and hands represent our ability to grasp ideas, to uphold our convictions of the truth, to reach out and grasp reality, to be a partaker of the divine benefits. Feet and legs. Feet and legs represent our ability to walk upright, to be guided into all truth, to be led by the ever-present mind. False growths, tumors, cancer, gallstones. We must think of the subjective state of our thought as our atmosphere in the universal mind, for we cannot separate ourselves from the universe. There is but one mind, and we are in it. We are in it as intelligence. It accepts our thought and acts upon it. Destructive emotions, desires, or ideas, unless neutralized, will grow into some bodily condition and may produce disease. Disease without thought could not manifest, no matter what the disease may be. We are surrounded by a receptive intelligence which receives the impress of our thought and acts upon it. If the thought of false growths can be erased, the manifestation can be healed. Declare, every plant which my Creator hath not planted shall be rooted up. The Creator is the reality of people and is eternal presence and perfection. Dissolve the idea of false growths by knowing that there is nothing for them to feed upon. Erase the belief in your own mentality, and you will remove it from the mentality of the patient, and thereby project healing power to their body. In treating cancers and tumors, there should be a harmonizing of the consciousness that will cleanse the blood. Declare, divine love within me removes from my consciousness every thought unlike God, good. In my physical body, there is only room for perfection, because that thought which is sustaining and nourishing my body is aware only of perfection. Nothing can come into being except from the one creative mind, and nothing can flourish unless there is something to nourish it. Accordingly, I know that my thought does not sustain any false growth, neither consciously nor unconsciously originated. The depression, the misunderstanding, the maladjustment, the frustration which may have taken place in my life is now eradicated. Absolute reality is the one causation back of all manifestation, and there could not be cause for development of any kind contrary or superfluous to the divine order. Therefore, there cannot remain within my body anything which does not express perfection. God, life, in and through me, forever cleanses, heals, and renews every organ and every atom in my body after the pattern of perfection. False mental causes are removed by a freshness of thought sustained by an affirmative outlook of faith and trust in the perfection of life. The only accretion which takes place in the body is that produced by the activity of perfect principle, and what the body cannot use it passes freely on. We have learned that there is only one substance, out of which everything is made: cabbages and kings, hands and houses, money and people. Consequently, any wrong condition in the human body is made from exactly the same substance from which the most perfect form is created. The pure and perfect light of spirit dissipates and dispels every discordant form, for those things which are not implanted by divine spirit have no law to support them. Whether it be cancer, fibroid tumor, a wen, a cyst, or gallstone, the practitioner must know that the spirit indwelling their patient is perfectly and completely manifested, and that every shadow of erroneous conclusion is wiped out. False growth is neither person, place, nor thing. It has no life to sustain it, cannot take root in truth. It has no vitality, no substance, and no power, and cannot be fed nor nurtured by truth.
So there's a complexity and a simplicity to our reading today. The simplicity is that it invites us to see how thought, conscious or unconscious, is manifesting in our body. Is it manifesting what we want? And where are there thoughts that are misaligned, that are demonstrating things we don't want? And it's a challenge because so many of us, when it comes to this physical body, it seems much more challenging for us to accept a deep responsibility for our physical well-being. There's lots of things outside of our bodies that we can blame. There's lots of things inside of our body that we can blame. We can blame genetics, we can blame stress, we can blame the environment. And it's challenging. I find myself challenged by it to take that 100% ownership without any guilt and shame, not from a place of I'm doing something wrong, but from a place of empowerment that says I get to shift what's happening in my body by claiming truth. Truth of my body, truth of thought, truth. And I think that's ultimately where the work is to, uh, especially, I mean, it's talking about a really tender area when we're talking about tumors and the C word. People are in this human realm terrified for their life and their well-being, and all of the conditioned thinking that comes with a diagnosis labeled cancer. Any diagnosis that carries the socialized death sentence with it can be scary. And then we're navigating the whole thought that is offered us around shifting our thoughts to the perfection of our being while navigating our human experience. So I think it's one that we really deserve to hold with tenderness, to hold each other with tenderness, to be willing to be emotionally, mentally vulnerable while standing firmly in spiritual principle, to embrace the whole process, if you will, to learn to be fully present with one another. It's a challenging thing in this human realm to be present with one another when things are hard in this human realm. And I believe that we are fully equipped to do that. We just have to be willing to feel and not label what we feel as good or bad, but just to feel it and to remain present with one another, to walk through the process with one another, and to know that perfection of being, that perfection of substance, and to keep returning our attention to that. I love the part that stood out to me the most is the words where we have learned that there is only one substance out of which everything is made: cabbages and kings, hands and houses, money and men. Consequently, any wrong condition in the human body is made from exactly the same substance from which the most perfect form is created. The pure and perfect light of spirit dissipates and dispels every discordant form, for those things which are not implanted by a divine spirit have no law to support them. And what that tells me is to go back to the substance of one. That no matter what's happening, it doesn't have its own power. Right? If I have a diagnosis, that diagnosis does not have a separate power. The disease doesn't have a separate power. And to go back to source, to go back to substance, to go back to the most basic truth, to stay there, to keep repeating that. And sometimes we have to go back and let that be okay, to hold it lightly, and to learn in the process that some things I just don't know. And it's okay to say I don't know. What I do want to speak to real quickly, and then I'm going to take us into our meditation, is this misuse of blaming ourselves for physical stuff. We live in a universe where physical stuff happens. And the thought of diseases happened way before any of us got here. We were born into a conditioned thinking, a collective consciousness that includes diagnosis, that includes physical disease. Um, and so we have to approach it without any guilt, shame, or blame, to approach it from a place of alignment with the perfection of our being, and to lean into and let people in spiritual community hold us and assist us and walk with us and support us to remember that there is only one substance, one wholeness, and free ourselves from carrying any misinformed, misguided guilt, shame, and blame that we made ourselves sick. Thought is Thoughts are things. And he mentions in this reading conscious or unconscious. So it can either be directly in our use or in the collective use. And I think that's important for us to recognize and to be present with. So with that, take us into our time of meditation and contemplation. Here we go. So in this moment, I recognize one power. I recognize, I know again that there is one infinite, self-existent substance that is the ground of all being, that is the source and the substance of all creation. It is manifesting itself in form, in the multiplicity of expression, without ever separating itself from itself, without ever being changed by the many forms that it expresses itself as, without ever being used up in any way or limited by the ways that it expresses. We know it by many, many names: God, Spirit, life, the great mystery, mind, consciousness. By whatever name we know it, it is that and so much more. In the infiniteness of its beingness, it is unnameable. And I am that in form. I am an emanation, an animation, a representation of it. I am a divine idea, desire of creation itself, of life itself, to experience itself as me. And what is true of me is true of all. Each and every one, a divine, on purpose, intentional, holy idea, desire in the heart of creation, in the heart of life, to expand itself as each individualized expression. Each expression fully infused with the perfection, with the substance of consciousness, the infinite intelligence, the absolute abundance, the wholeness, the perfection, the complete beingness, all fully present in every expression of it. It can be no other way. And so I simply speak my word with full recognition that it is the word of this infinite being speaking through an individualized version of itself, moving the substance of itself into expression. So I affirm a palpable awareness, a palpable ownership, a visible experiential reclamation of the divinity that is expressing, of the whole, complete, perfect one substance that is expressing. That thought is aligned with the truth of being, that there is an operable, experiential, breath-to-breath understanding that there is only one power, that no condition in this physical realm has a separate power, that there is no guilt, shame, or blame. There is simply thought. And when thought is manifesting, as anything unlike the perfection of being. The thought is simply changed. That there is no guilt, shame, or blame in the process. There is simply awareness and shift. Awareness and shift. Awareness. Shift. And as thought more perfectly aligns with the truth of being, it is manifested in the physical realm, in the health and well-being and fullness of our planet, of our cosmos, of every physical being, in the bodies, hearts, and minds of each one. I see it. I feel it. I claim it beyond possible. I claim it as probable. I claim it as done. Because the law, that operating activity within the creative process, it responds to every single request the same. The divine yes has already heard the word spoken in this spiritual mind treatment, has already said yes. And so my job, my joy, is to release my work. And by release, I remove anything that would hinder its absolute fulfillment. It is that final recognition of the power of my word, the power of my thought. So I consciously, intentionally release all limiting noise, conscious and unconscious, that would in any way impede fulfillment of the word spoken. I release all fear, I release all doubt, I let it all go. And I return over and over again to the simple truth of one. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you.